Welcome to Online OHS training tutorials. In this tutorial, you will learn how to use the checklist builder. The checklist builder has been designed to help show your efforts in complying to legislation on a day-to-day, week-to-week or month-to-month basis. This is a feature that you should be using on a constant basis. But before you get started building the checklist, you need to identify what type of checklist you need to build. A great way to identify checklists that need to be built is to look at the activities you've entered into the system. Some activities may need individual checklists developed, or for an example, you may undertake some activities at various locations. Therefore, a site risk assessment checklist could be developed. Other items that you could look at to see if checklists need developing is the plant and equipment you've entered into the system. Some of these pieces of equipment may need checklist as a pre-start checklist, for an example, for forklifts. Depending on what type of chemicals you've entered, they also may need checklists developed, so employees use them safely. And lastly, your place of work. These checklists could include a hazard walkthrough checklist. The hazards that you've previously identified relating to these activities now can be built in a checklist to help to control and monitor them. Now we have determined what checklists need to be developed, let's see how we can actually develop them. Select the record management icon, then checklists. To develop a checklist, select Add Checklist. You can relate a checklist to a site, an activity, or a machine. For an example, let's build that hazard identification checklist mentioned previously. Select the site where the checklist will be undertaken, and we can enter the checklist name as Walkthrough Hazard Identification Checklist. The checklist item is the question. Enter the question, are designated walkways still visible? By selecting the Add More Fields link, a new question box will appear. Add the next question. Are walkways being used by employees correctly? Select Add More Input fields and build as many questions as you need. Select a review date. This review date can be set for a week, a month, or depending on when you're going to conduct the checklist. Or you may have set this checklist for review once a year to review the details of the checklist itself. You can also make a person responsible for the checklist. This person must be in the database, and email alerts can be set. You can also select if you want the checklist to have a signature box. Select the Add button and your checklist has been developed. The checklist now sits in the main checklist register. It also sits in the individual sites register. By selecting the View button, the checklist can be opened. The checklist can be completed online. Each time you complete the checklist online and select Save, a log will be kept of that checklist. This log will help show your efforts in providing a safe workplace for your employees. You may not want your employees logging into the system to do the checklist, or may be impractical to do so. So what you can do is select the Generate PDF button to create a printable PDF document of that checklist. Print out the checklist and develop a process or procedure when the checklist needs to be undertaken. This may mean that you have a checklist tray, and a checklist completed tray may be in the warehouse, or you may want to print out the checklist and take the checklist to complete at your place of work. From there, you need to enter the completed checklist into the system so you can develop that log to show your efforts. All in all, the Checklist Builder is a great tool for you to show your compliance. For more information on how to use the Checklist Builder, please don't hesitate to contact Online Compliance.